That's strangely close to Daniel Jones from the Giants. Daniel, is that you? Beat the Chiefs. Show me. If the Broncos and Russell Wilson can show me that they can beat the Chiefs, then I will start believing.
And the crowd up. And so are this defense, and Kansas City won't snap the ball again. The Denver Broncos have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
David Montgomery on the Lions, former Bear, gonna make this his revenge game for sure. David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game. No! And there's a flag. There's flags. Snap, hold, kick.
Denver wins! Let's go!
They open! No!
What happened? Oh, shit.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Only Football Podcast. Tonight, we are doing our Week 16 predictions. There are so many games that have playoff implications, and Kyle and I are going to go through every single one of them and pick our winners and our losers for Week 16. And, of course, we're going to end it off with the Chives with Kyle. Oh, let's get it. America is football.
America is America. And if you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass. This is a moment in time. I don't give a damn. Oh my God.
No.
You loved it.
30 to 27.
Oh!
Chiefs win. Chiefs win 30 to 20.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Only Football.
Let's go.
Dude, I gotta be honest with you.
You're erect right now.
I am not kidding. Like, I woke up this morning and it was just so hard to get out of bed.
Why is that?
Because the Broncos lost. Like it like affected me, like in a huge way. Like I was I was at work, and normally I'm doing a job where I'm changing every air filter, and I'm like going room to room, and I have an AirPod in, and normally when I have a job that's like I don't have to think too much, I just play football.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't want to play anything because everyone's going to be sucking the Chargers' dick. Like, oh my God, they're so good. And I'm like, I just don't want to hear any of it. But I was like, I don't know what to do without football. And I'm like, I'm just in a dark place right now.
I know.
And
but,
I'm like, I just hope it gets better.
And it will, because it's not like that loss yesterday was season over. You know what I mean? Like, there is still meaningful football to look forward to for the Broncos. And you got to be grateful for that, especially with there being only the rest of Week 16 and 2 more weeks of football left. Like, you've got to look at that and be like, I can't wait for the rest of what the football season has got to offer. I know it sucks. Believe me, I know it sucks. Being a Bears fan, it sucks. But you got to hold on to that meaningful football while we still have a season left.
Yeah, and there's meaningful football happening all around. I mean, next week, Cincinnati, Denver, that's a playoff game. I mean, Cincinnati wins out, they're in if they beat Denver. And you look at games like that and you're like, no, it's not a playoff game, but you got one team and they win and they're in. You got the other team that they lose a game and they're out. So, I mean, that's a playoff game. And here we are at Week 16. And this is the part of the season where it's like, yeah, we had games that heavily would affect the playoff picture one way or another. But we've officially gotten to the part of the year where these games are like, you lose, you're out, you win, you're in, and the stakes couldn't be any higher. And I've always loved that about Week 16, Week 17, and Week 18. It really does feel like it's a kind of a bonus playoff because you got the weight of a playoff game. No, it's not officially the playoffs, but there's a lot of games, and we're going to start off in the NFC West, where this is going to be a playoff type game for each one of these teams from here on out. Yeah. Because the NFC West, you got the Niners at 6-8, you got the Cardinals at 7-7, you got the Seahawks at 8-6, and the Rams at 8-6. So essentially, like, all of these teams, even the last place team, still has hopes. And the Cardinals, who are one game back from the Seahawks right now, who just lost to the Seahawks, I believe, 2 weeks ago, they are trying to, like, okay, can we actually turn into a 10-7 team? Like, what if we win our last 3? We're 10-7. We're probably in the playoffs. And the Niners, they got to hit the road. No, I'm sorry. This is week 18. I thought
week
that
16.
was week 16. Okay. Forget about all that. That will come into play later when we get to the NFC West. But the first game we're going to talk about is Saturday football, December 21st. It's going to be the Texans at Chiefs. This game is going to be on Telemundo, Universo, NBC.
Let's go.
And, dude, Patrick Mahomes, it looked like he was going to be out for the next 2 weeks. Now we're hearing he's going to play.
Yeah.
The Chiefs, all of a sudden, I'm like the biggest Chiefs fan, right? Because if they get one win, they have nothing to play for, and they're resting their starters. That's what I want to see. But the Texans, I mean, they've already won that division. They won the AFC South because I believe it was the Chargers that beat was the Broncos that beat the Colts. That eliminated the Colts from winning the AFC South. So the Texans, it's like, what are you really playing for at this point? I don't see them catching the Steelers or the Ravens, even though they have the same record as the Ravens. For whatever reason, I just don't see it. But for the Texans, I mean, they're like, hey, maybe we don't have to be the 4 seed. Maybe we could win our last 3 games and end up with a 12-5 record and, you know, be the 3 seed. We know Kansas City and Buffalo is 1 and 2, but Texans, that's a big difference for them potentially. What do you make of this game? Because it does feel like for the Chiefs, it's all about just getting one more win. And for the Texans, it's almost hard to figure out what exactly there is to play for besides just trying to play your best football at the end of the year.
That's exactly what I'm thinking about for the Texans. Is we have gone through this season looking at CJ Stroud from last season being like, this guy is a fucking MVP. He's going to play awesome. And he's clearly having a second-year slump, right? Like, it's clearly there. The offense has looked pretty bland and not as explosive as it did last year as much this year. Now, the defense on the other side of that ball, they look fine. There's nothing wrong with that defense. The offense that has to be the Texans and Texans fans have to be worrying about, and it's exactly to your point. They are going to be playing to try to get that offense back on track to where they were last year. Now, about the Chiefs, for them, they do need that 1 win and maybe even 2 wins to really secure that number 1.
Yeah. What Rick's internet went out for a second, but he was just about to say the Chiefs, they really need to get that win to secure the number 1 seed. And that would be huge because the way Buffalo's playing right now, it would make a big difference if the playoffs ran through Kansas City rather than going to Buffalo. And the way Buffalo's playing, do you really want to play Kansas City or do you want to play Buffalo in Buffalo? I mean, that makes a big difference going to Arrowhead with the AFC Championship game on the line. And we got Rick back.
Yeah, sorry. My entire internet right now just went like dark for like 30 seconds there. So sorry. It actually wasn't like bad of an internet problem. It was the entire internet that went out. So I'm
glad it just came right back though.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, what I was saying was with the Chiefs, they need one more win. they are able to pretty much go from there with the number 1 seed. That's what they're playing for. The Texans are really just kind of polishing the offensive side of the ball at this point. So yeah, I like you said, I don't know what the Texans would be playing for at this point because they have clinched the AFC South, but that's pretty much what they want to be playing for. And defenses on both sides of the ball know that they can take advantage of offenses that are struggling on both of these teams. But I think Kansas City, their offense is going to be doing that much better, just that much better in this game against a pretty damn good Texans defense. I'm going to be picking the Chiefs to win this one and really secure that home field advantage throughout the playoffs again this year. But I'm taking the Chiefs. I don't know if CJ Stroud and that offense have it against this Chiefs defense, but that Texans defense, don't get me wrong, very, very good putting pressure and getting sacks. So they're going to be putting Patrick Mahomes' ankle. They're going to be putting it through the ringer. That's for sure this week.
Yeah, I mean, Mahomes knows how to manage a high ankle sprain. It seems like he's had one at this time of the year the last couple of years. And the Texans, they just haven't been great this year. So I'm going to take the Chiefs to win this game as well. I think it's going to be a 24-21 type game.
Oh, I like it.
All right, next up, we have maybe the game of the week. I mean, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Baltimore and taking on the Ravens. We saw this game, I believe, 3 weeks ago, and the Ravens were only able to score one offensive touchdown. Justin Tucker missed a couple field goals, which ultimately would have been the difference in a win. And then the Steelers, they get the win because of those missed field goals. I don't know if I said that right. What I'm trying to say is if Tucker made his damn field goals, the Ravens would have won the game.
Yep.
And on the other side, you got the best kicker in the game this year in Broswell. So I see this game being field goals again. For whatever reason, the AFC North is always going to be that like tough game, weird score. The Steelers are coming off a loss where they really kind of removed themselves from like, are the Steelers elite? No, they're not. I mean, you saw what happened when Russell Wilson didn't have what's his
Pickens.
name? Pickens, George Pickens. There's just no depth there, and they did draft a wide receiver out of Michigan, but he hasn't played at all this year. It was like he had an injury in the offseason. Then he was on IR. Then he was activated. And then he got injured a different, now he's like been gone again. So they didn't really address that in the draft because the guy that they did draft's not playing. And it's just crazy because I believe the Steelers, Roman Wilson, I believe it was, out of Michigan. Now, I believe the Steelers had an opportunity to draft Ladd McConkey, and they traded back. And that's just like, wow, their careers are going to be kind of compared the same way. The wide receiver for the Chiefs, Xavier Worthy, will be compared to the Florida State product that the Bills drafted.
Coleman.
Yeah, Keon Coleman. So there's going to be those comparisons. And what are the Steelers going to do without that depth? I mean, Freiermuth, he's stepped up and he's had some pretty good games recently. But Russell Wilson's just not that quarterback that's going to play at such an elite level that he's going to carry the team. He's a very bad red zone quarterback. So you're kind of relying on those big plays, 30-yard touchdowns to get points. And the Steelers do have a defense that's pretty susceptible, but I just don't know how the Steelers are going to threaten to push the ball downfield, lacking the weapons. Now, defensively, the Steelers have what it takes to play a good game, but you saw the way they looked last week against the Eagles, and I'm just like not sold on this team right now. That's a tough loss, and now they're going into another tough game. We talked about how difficult the Steelers' schedule was. We're seeing it right now at its full strength. I mean, when the Ravens run the ball, they're pretty much unstoppable For whatever reason, the Ravens didn't really run it last week with the Giants. But this week, I expect a heavy dose of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Russell Wilson, probably another mediocre game, probably around 16 fantasy points, like enough to be like, he played, but
Yeah.
not enough to really impress anybody. I'm going to take the Ravens in this game. The Ravens are 6.5-point favorites. I would be tempted to go Steelers plus 6.5, but I'm just not going to touch it.
Don't touch it. You made a lot of good points there too, especially with the Steelers offense side of the ball. I mean, they're missing George Pickens, and their run game with Najee Harris, with Jalen Warren, like, it's not something to really be scared about offensively. So yeah, you're looking at guys like Freiermuth. You're looking at wide receiver 2, 3, 4, right? Like, you're looking at those type of guys, and you're hoping that Russ can make those guys into number 1 wide receivers, at least in this game, because these guys, the Ravens and the Steelers, play such close games. Where was it here? The 9th straight meeting. This will be the 10th, but the last 9 in a row have been decided by 7 points or fewer by both of these teams, between Harbaugh and Tomlin. So these guys play tough. They play good defense. And like you said, it might be a field goal type of game. Now, Lamar does struggle against the Steelers quite a bit, and especially their defense. Obviously, the Steelers have a very good defense. But I'm going to go ahead and agree with you here. I think the Ravens are going to take the win at home, 6.5-point favorites, and Lamar kind of breaks out of his slump against the Steelers. I'm thinking he's going to pass for a couple touchdowns, maybe rush for one, Derrick Henry rush for one. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be an ugly game, but I can also see Lamar breaking out finally for the first time in a while against these guys, for the first time in like 5 games, and put up a big game, big numbers against the Steelers. So I'm taking the Ravens as well.
All right. Next up, we got the Falcons, and I've been saying, they have a game here with the Giants, and I just think this is really great for the Falcons. And I'm sorry, Bill, but I know you said earlier nothing can hurt you anymore, so I'm just gonna be honest about this game. The Falcons drafting Michael Penix, and we could spend 20 minutes talking about this segment because it is fascinating, and perhaps I'll make a separate video on this. The deal with Kirk Cousins, the guaranteed money, the no trade clause that's written in his contract, and the decision to draft Michael Penix, it's all fascinating. But what you have here is a situation that I guess, were not planning for, but you're benefiting from it. Where you thought Kirk Cousins was going to be able to train Michael Penix for the 3 years that you had him under contract and pass the torch like Jordan Love did from Aaron Rodgers. And what you got now is, Kirk Cousins isn't good enough to start. Nope. Now he has looked bad, and his only good games were against the same team. And now you're at this point of the season where it's like, can they salvage the season? Well, you could have given the guy the chance to do that 2 weeks ago when Kirk Cousins was playing terrible for 3 games straight at that point. But the Falcons didn't do that. I blame management. They waited until they were 1 game behind Tampa to put in the rookie to be like, can you make up a game? Like, you're not even giving it to him with a tie. Last week it would have been a tie. But no, you're giving him to do it in this situation, and it's kind of shitty. But I think Michael Penix is going to thrive in this situation. The Giants are a great team to make your first start against this week. And I think Michael Penix is going to be a lot better than Kirk Cousins. And you look at Kirk Cousins and the way he's been playing, he can't be much worse. He really can't. I'm telling you, I've been saying for 3 weeks, if the Falcons want to go to the playoffs, they have to put Michael Penix in, and he needs to salvage the season. Penix is going to have a good game. The Falcons are going to win this game. They're 1 game back from the Bucs right now. And the Bucs, they have to play on Sunday night in Dallas. And we know Mike McCarthy, even out of the playoffs, has the Cowboys playing hard. So this is a good opportunity for the Falcons to come up with a statement win for a rookie quarterback and potentially keep their fan base believing that they can win their division. I'm taking the Falcons, and I'm taking the Falcons by more than 10 points. I think
Ooh.
Penix is going to have a big game. I think you're going to see a much better quarterback, and the only downside is everyone's going to wonder. It's like the Wolf of Wall Street. The only problem you're going to have is that you didn't buy more. The only problem the Falcons are going to have after this game is that they didn't start him sooner.
Yep. No, I like it. And Bill's saying most Giants fans are 100% in for the tank anyway, Kyle. So yeah, I mean that's Giants fans, and I've been there as a Bears fan. I'm sure plenty of fans have been there for their respective teams, and I'm gonna agree with you. I love the story though of Penix finding out he started. He was at a Costco. He had bought a hot dog. He had gotten the text or the call, and he was like, once he got that call or text or whatever, he's like, I couldn't even eat the hot dog. Like I was like nervous or whatever in a sense. I was like, no, dude, you got to eat that $1.50 hot dog. You have to. But anyway, I like this move. And obviously Kirk Cousins' last 5-6 games have just been absolutely atrocious. I mean, you go touchdownless, but you throw multiple interceptions. And I mean, I think he threw for one last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. Or he still continues the no touchdown streak, whatever the case may be. I like the move now because yes, you kind of are in a sense not desperate for the division, but you're kind of in a hurry, right? Like you're like, we need to win these games if you're the Falcons, and we need to win them however it is that we're going to win them. And if that means benching Kirk Cousins, then that means benching Kirk Cousins. Now, I was an advocate a few weeks ago to being like, look, they're still in the race. Kirk Cousins gives them the best chance. Maybe not a great spot to put in a rookie. And like you said, they waited way too long to put in Penix. Obviously given the circumstances 3 weeks later from when I was saying not to kind of put him in the situation to be like, hey, you got to go win the division now. And Penix is like, what? So it sucks because in hindsight, you should have made this move sooner, but you were also thinking like Kirk is going to get out of this. He hasn't really been in a slump like this. And then he just doesn't get out of it. So it does suck. But the good thing is at least you are able to have Penix to kind of fall back on instead of Heineke, instead of Ritter, right, instead of some, I don't know, a Joe Flacco who's 49 years old and had one good year since the Ravens, right? So you don't have to fall back on that. You can fall back on a rookie who's young and is probably going to just try to do his best in this game. And with the weapons that Atlanta has, it's a great situation for him to be able to do this. Now, the Giants, on the other hand, you're starting Drew Lock. Like Bill said, you're already in for the tank. There's more than 10 points, maybe. I think if Bijan gets going and Penix is able to get it to guys like Pitts, like Drake London, effectively and efficiently, then yeah, these guys are going to win by that much. I think I'm going to call it a little bit closer just because of the rookie quarterback swing here. I'm going to go by either between a field goal, 4 points. I think it's going to be a lot closer than we think just because that Atlanta defense isn't great. And yeah, the Giants overall aren't good either. I like their defensive line and their defense a little bit more than that Atlanta Falcons D, but I'm going to take the Falcons to win it.
All right. Best quarterback class ever.
100%. It's getting there, man. It's once we get JJ McCarthy, like next year or whenever it is that he starts and everybody starts to show how well they are, 100% best quarterback class.
Yeah, I mean, the future of the NFL is looking really bright, and there's a lot of franchises, the Giants, the Raiders, hoping that they can get some of what we're getting this year, next year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As Bill's comment right there about the tank. And I mean, it's going to be tough because the Raiders' final games, they're like against the Jags and the Panthers, I think. So I mean, they could win one of those, which would help the Giants. Mm-hmm. But we might get there in a minute. The Cardinals at Panthers, kind of a tough one. Shouldn't be. The Panthers were the favorite last week for the first time in like 27 games or something ridiculous. And that's because the Panthers had been playing really well. Bryce Young looked like he benefited from the benching. He was having great games. Almost beat the Chiefs. Had a go-ahead field goal with like a minute and a half left. Almost beat a couple other teams. The Eagles played really tight. It might have been the Ravens. I can't remember, but it was like 3 juggernauts in a row, and they lost them all. Tampa. That was the other one.
Tampa, yeah.
They lost them all. Tampa was a shootout. It was like 34-35 was the final. And then last week, when the Panthers finally became a favorite to a Cowboys team that has nothing to play for, I can't stop about this McCarthy thing, dude. Like, his guys, they're like, I'm sorry, but he's just not a bad coach. Like, I know a bad coach when I see one. I know a loser coach when I see one. My trainer at the gym, he's a Cowboys fan. He was saying today, he was like, man, I love the way Sean kind of covers Bo's ass when he makes a mistake. And I was like, he's a great coach. And he's like, I wish I had one of those. And I'm like, man. And we talked about it today a little bit, but I'm just trying to understand, like, man, the way the Cowboys fought and the Panthers weren't ever really in that game. The Panthers were just getting handled by the Cowboys, and it was like the Panthers are back to being bad again. So now it's like, okay, how much are we going to put into that one game? How much of that was about the Cowboys? The Panthers were at home in that game. They're going to be at home in this game. And the Cardinals are coming in, who may be a little bit better than the Cowboys, but this is kind of a tough one for me to gauge. With the Cardinals playing with more on the line, I'm inclined to go that direction. But I don't find this game easy. This is one of those games where I'm going to ask you to convince me of one way or the other. Arizona's 5-point favorites. I'm just not really like I'm not convinced by the spread either. So maybe you can.
So here's why the Cardinals are going to win and why I'm picking them to win. The Panthers defense has suffered losses to their linebacking core and probably one of their best defensive linemen. Which already helps the Cardinals in terms of rushing with Connor and Kyler Murray. Obviously, he can scramble for a ton of yards if you let him. So all of that put together, right? The losses on the defensive for the Panthers and the fact that James Conner and Kyler Murray can run for 200 yards if you let them and if you're not careful, that's why the Cardinals are going to win. They're going to use their run game to gash the Carolina Panthers defense. And when you can stop the run at one point, guess what? I'm going to throw it to Marvin Harrison and to McBride here, like for a first down for 15, 20 yards. Like, that's what's going to happen. When we talk about establishing the run, the Cardinals are going to establish the run, and they're going to do it extremely effectively. And when the Panthers are expecting a run, play action pass, gash you for 20, 25, 30 yards to Harrison, to McBride, to whoever. That's the kind of football I think the Cardinals are going to play. And again, because of those injuries on the defense for the Panthers, it's going to make it even easier. Now, the Carolina Panthers, they've been playing a lot better recently, but I just don't think that offensive line is going to hold for the Panthers and Bryce Young. They have been. He's been able to kind of get off and able to pass downfield for some good yards. And this is why they've been playing a little bit better, because Bryce Young is able to get the ball out a little bit quicker, maybe make some extra moves, kind of extend plays and such. But I don't know, man. None of this I like for the Panthers. Again, the injuries, the bad offensive line. I think the Cardinals are going to feast in this game. So I'm going to take the Cardinals. I think it's kind of one of those don't overthink it type of games.
Yeah. The last time the Cardinals won a road game by more than 1 point was last December. The Panthers are playing tough. I'm gonna take I'll go with the Cardinals, but I'm going to take the Panthers +5. I think this game is going to be close. I don't think that there's going to be, I don't see the Cardinals just like busting this game open and the Panthers are getting blown out.
Bust it open.
I mean, if that were the case, it probably wouldn't feel so difficult for me
Mhm.
to decide. But
Mhm.
the Cardinals being in the NFC West race, they got to avoid kind of slipping to the Panthers. This is a
Yep.
game where, like you said, the defense has struggled massively. You got to win these kind of games. You know, the Panthers allowing over 200 yards on the ground, like
Mhm.
that's a problem. And James
Yeah.
Conner is going to probably go off in this
Mhm.
game. But Murray is probably going to outplay Bryce Young, but I'm going to go Cardinals. But yeah, this game, don't touch it.
Don't
There's a
touch
couple.
it. Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
This next one might not be. It might be. I'm excited to talk about it. The Lions at Bears.
Mhm.
The Bears and Lions played 3 weeks ago,
Mhm.
and it was the game that got Eberflus fired.
Yep.
We don't need to revisit what happened at the end of that game. That
God, please
was
no.
that was the worst clock management I've ever seen in my life.
The worst.
And I'm 30, so I've watched a lot of football.
Mhm.
Right? Like that's a
Mhm.
lot of football games, and I'm
Mhm.
not a hyperbole. Like never seen anything like that. I still don't understand it. But now they have a new coach, and yeah, he's just the interim coach. And no, things have looked kind of the same for the Bears, but
Yeah.
I just wonder if the Bears are going to at least get a win. I mean, the Bears haven't gotten a win since when was their last win? It was
You
before
want you want me to tell you? You want me to tell you when the last one was? Against the Jaguars in London, dude. The Jaguars in London, and it wasn't even on US soil. That's the
Oh my
last time. That is the
dude,
last time the Bears have won a football game.
that is ridiculous.
That's
That is
sad. So
that.
sad.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are probably going to be thinking that the Detroit Lions are in some trouble with the injuries and the running
Mhm.
back, and like I'm screwed. I lost my fantasy because of the David Montgomery injury. Like
Yeah.
that just sucks, right?
Mhm.
And I'm sure there's a lot of other people like that. The
Mhm.
Bears, they beat the Lions in Chicago last year.
Mhm.
They played them close this year. The Lions, if they don't take this game very serious, they're going to end up losing this game. Why? No logic or reason to it. I can't tell you why. All I can say is the NFL is a very weird place. And
Yep.
all those games that you just assume are going to be easy that are in division, it's not the case. Uh,
Mhm.
this is going to be an important game for Caleb Williams, and I think he knows that. He was on
Mhm.
primetime television on Monday night.
Mhm.
He was having a full-on meltdown on the
Yeah.
sideline, and the
Yeah.
internet has been eating it up. And
Mhm.
there's a lot that goes into body language. To me, it seems obvious. Like a guy like that, he knows that the cameras are watching. So like, what message is he trying to send? That he's in
Mhm.
pain, that he's getting beat the fuck up, and that he's giving it all he's got. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the message that he's trying to send. Why is he
Mhm.
trying to send that message? Because the results aren't there.
Mhm.
And he has to do something, right? He can't just sit there and act like Joe Cool and like I don't care. You got to show that you care a little bit. You got
Mhm.
to show that you want this. And Caleb has to have a statement win. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, like we can't just end the year like this and expect
Mhm.
everything to be okay. Like I don't care if the coach got fired, the offensive line sucks, whatever the case is. You're the next Mahomes. You have to get a statement win. You have to beat a team like Detroit. You have to do it in front of your home crowd. You have to prove that you are that guy. And it
Mhm.
has to happen. It has to happen this year, not next
Mhm.
year. And that's why I'm taking the Bears.
Let's go.
I think the Bears are going to be able to pull this one out. I think this is going to be, I mean, this is my upset of the week. But I'm going to take the Bears to win this game. I just don't know if Caleb's going to have a great game, but
Mhm.
I do think he's going to be able to do enough, and I'm going to take the Bears 26-24.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. That's a good score there. That's an ugly win, but you're doing it up against one of the top teams in the NFC. And I agree, all the stuff that Caleb's going through, the body language on Monday Night Football, what he talked about, in the post game presser was like, all these losses are weighing on me. It's tough for me to take these losses, and it's true. It's something that we experience with Justin Fields. Why are we not winning games towards the end of the season? We need a win. We need something to kind of build off of for next year. Like you said, you're right. This next win cannot come next year. You can't end the season.
Yeah, and
On a losing,
there he is.
like, sorry, I'm back.
We
You
got you.
can't end. Okay, you can't end it like that, right? All this stuff is weighing on Caleb Williams, on the team going into next year. There's so many question marks, so many positions, groups that are going to have question marks going into next season. Obviously, the head coach, all that stuff. But you're right; they need a win, and they almost beat the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving. And I'm gonna be right there with you. I'm taking the Bears to win. I'm taking the Bears to win because they have to win a game. They have to. This whole draft position is no longer a thing. Obviously, I want them. I like the first 3-4 picks for the draft should be defensive lineman and offensive lineman. That's what the first 3 to 4 picks should be in the draft, regardless of position. Now, I'm going to take them to win. I think Caleb, with that just embarrassment of a loss on Monday Night Football, it's going to fuel him a little bit. I'm hoping he has a good game. I'm hoping that him and Rome connect more, and Kmet. Like, those seem to be his guys. Like, DJ Moore obviously is going to get his looks and his catches, but I think it's going to be Rome and Kmet this game against the Lions. And I think, I don't know, I hope the defense can do something against Jared Goff and Jahmyr Gibbs, because, like you said, the injuries are piling up for the Lions. I talked about it the other day where they're having the best season of an NFL team with all the injuries, but they're so damn good. They got stars all over. I'm picking the Bears to win this one at home for their first NFC North win of the year. Bear down, baby. Bear down.
Yeah, and just for the voice of reason, here's the world, and this will be 30 seconds. Here's the world where the Bears don't win. The Lions, everybody forgets that the Lions have Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs can handle the workload. The
Yep.
Lions don't regress in the running game at all. Jared Goff is going to be able to hit his targets. Tim Patrick's the wide receiver 3. He's got like 35 targets in the last 3 games. Ross St. Brown's still that guy, and Sam Laporta had a big game last week. So I expect these guys to step up, these veterans that have been on the team for a while, to step up. And the Bears, you saw the game on Monday night. There's just not much there to believe in as far as like the 3 and outs, the sacks, the defense just being like good, but then the offense not rewarding it. I almost feel like almost like a fool for the pick, but it's weird because like if the Lions won this game 31-3, like nobody would be like shocked. But I'm gonna take the home team, and I feel like the Bears know this is gonna be their Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Let's just yeah.
I was going to say, they always play the Lions tough too. Always, always, always.
Yeah, so that's really what I'm banking on. But it is a very ballsy ass prediction from both of us. I'll admit that.
Oh, 100%.
Next up, we got the Titans and the Colts. Not going to spend too much time. Anthony Richardson, not the guy. I've watched him this season. I watched him up close. Not too many quarterbacks have been able to fix accuracy issues. You can have other issues mechanically and stuff like that. Josh Allen was able to fix his accuracy issues, but I just don't know if Anthony Richardson, I feel like he was drafted just basically because of the athletic specimen he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he was able to do the broad jump, vertical, 40.
Mhm.
I mean, the guy is just ridiculously athletic, and that's what got him this spot. The hope was that he would grow as a quarterback, and it hasn't happened. The Titans, they don't have a quarterback either. Will Levis isn't the guy. Mason Rudolph has been taking the snaps, but their season, it's totally in the tank. I don't
Yeah.
see any point in what this game just doesn't bring any value. The only thing is, like, I guess if the Denver would lose out and the Colts, Broncos, and Bengals were in a 3-way tie, there is a scenario where the Colts would get into the playoffs as the 7 seed. So the Colts haven't
Wow.
been eliminated, and if there was a 3-way tiebreaker, it would actually benefit the Colts because they don't have the head-to-head if it was just Denver and the Colts. So the Colts need the Bengals and themselves to win out and Denver to lose out. So the Colts are still playing for something, likely a close game, a 1-score contest, but I'm going to pick the Colts in this situation
Mhm.
over the Titans. Titans are going to be on the road. The Colts, I don't like this game.
Yeah, there's nothing about this game to like. Mason Rudolph starting for the Titans. Calvin Ridley has been their best receiver. Tony Pollard can maybe do something. We also got to remember the Colts are they give up like 330 yards a game, so they're like down there in terms of yards per game allowed for their defense. But yeah, everything you said about the Colts is also right. Anthony Richardson is not the quarterback of the future. I think Ginger had said it too. He's like, I don't like what I've seen from him. So it's just a lot of like little like major things on both of these teams going into this offseason that's going to be like, all right, we got to reset. We got to figure out what we're doing next. Also, Jonathan Taylor fumbling the ball before crossing the goal line last week, like major fuck up. You know he's going to have it all the way through the goal line this week if he's able to get through and hand it to the ref and be like, did I get a touchdown? Did I make it? Yeah, okay, here's the ball. That's what he's going to do. But I'm also taking the Colts on this one. It's just nothing alike on either of these teams other than the Titans defense. The Titans defense is probably the best thing about that team. And the Colts, I mean, they've got some players on both sides, Jonathan Taylor, DeForest Buckner. But yeah, I'm taking the home team in this one. I just don't think Mason Rudolph is going to be that much of an upgrade over Will Levis. But hey, Calvin Ridley got his highest, his season high in terms of yardage with Mason Rudolph at quarterback. So maybe that's something. I'm still taking the Colts to win it.
This is a sneaky game of the week. It's not my game of the week, but it's a sneaky runner-up. The Rams at Jets. The Jets have been playing good football. All right. Aaron Rodgers had like 280 yards. Devontae Adams had like 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Garrett Wilson, good production. The Jets, the week before, Aaron Rodgers had his first 300-yard game since like 2019 or some crazy shit, 2021.
Wow.
And the Jets, when their season has been gone, I mean, fans are sitting there wondering what took so long. Like, why are we doing this now? Because the offense has kind of come to life in the last couple of weeks. And
Yeah.
that sets up nicely for a Rams game where the NFC North for a very long time was Matthew Stafford and Aaron Rodgers going against each other. And Aaron Rodgers there's probably not a quarterback in the NFL he has as much respect for as Stafford. And he's made that clear many times, saying how good of a quarterback Stafford is. And if he wasn't on the Lions for all those years, how he would probably have multiple Super Bowls. But for a while, he was just burdened by that team, and he was the only good thing about it. The Rams, who won a Super Bowl, it seems like the mission here is to get one more. And the Rams, a lot like last year, are becoming a team that nobody's going to want to play in the playoffs. And I think this game is setting up nicely for a lot of points. And Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers of 2008.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be fun. But at the end of the day, the Rams are the more complete team right now, and they have a coach. And for that reason, I'm going to take the Rams, but I said game of the week, so my score will not disappoint. Give me the Rams 35-31.
Ooh, that is a game of the week score right there. I love that score. And I think it's going to be similar. It's going to be high scoring game. Aaron Rodgers is throwing for like 630 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I think the Jets have totaled like 58 points in the last 2 games. I mean, you said it. Where the fuck has this offense been all year? You know what I mean? Like they've had games where they could barely score 6 points, 7 points, whatever the case may be. But now they're just scoring at will, and Aaron Rodgers is playing his best football of the season. But you're right. The Rams are just the much more complete team. They've got Jared Verse on the defensive side doing great things as a rookie. The offense is doing awesome with Puka and with Cooper Kupp. I mean, this one's kind of easy for me too. I'm taking the Rams, and yeah, I'm going to agree with a high scoring game. I mean, I think it's going to get closer to the 40s. I know you're saying 34-31 or 35-31. I think it's going to get in the 40s, man. And this is the 18th time that Stafford and Rodgers have met in a game. I mean, obviously they were in the NFC North together for a while, so that's how you stack up those meetings. But Stafford, I think, is his team is a little bit better. So yeah, I'm taking the Rams to win this one against the Jets, but high scoring affair for sure.
I wonder what his record is against Aaron Rodgers' record versus Stafford. Aaron Rodgers versus Matthew Stafford head to head has a record 13-4.
Yeah, 13-4. He's got the upper hand in the record.
That's like a whole season of football games.
It is now, yeah, 13-4. That's a good. If they played the Rams every year, they'd be in the playoffs.
All right. Next up, we got the Eagles going into Washington. This is going to be a good one. All right. The Commanders, they are 9-5. The Eagles are 12-2, and they're coming off a really good win. The Eagles right now, they're playing perfect. The Commanders last week, everybody's like kind of freaking out about how good Jaden was last week because he had one play where he ran around and threw a touchdown, and it was like, oh, they're gonna win this game. Like they're gonna beat the crap out of the Saints, and then the Saints went for 2 to win the game at the end. And it's like, what, the Commanders just stopped scoring in the second quarter? Like, what happened? So the Commanders do have these moments where they look like they could beat the Eagles at home. And then they have moments where you're like, they don't have a shot against the Eagles. But the Eagles kind of have those moments too, like against the Panthers. And this is a divisional game, and that just makes it tough. And remember 2 years ago when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, they were like 12-0. They were undefeated, and it was a Thursday night game against the Commanders in a year where the Commanders were like a 2-win team that gave the Eagles their first loss. So the Commanders have a way of playing the Eagles tight and close. I think I'm going Commanders here.
Ooh, this is my game of the week right here. This NFC East showdown. Like if the Eagles win, they win the division. If the Commanders win, they increase their chances of the playoffs, which I think they're going to be in anyway at this point. But
it's tough with the NFC North having three teams are going to potentially have 11 wins. So really that only opens the door for one other team. So between the Seahawks, the Rams, I mean, well, there's going to be the Rams or Seahawks are going to win the division. So the other one, which will be the Rams or the Seahawks, and those are going to be the two teams that are going to need to have a worse record than the Commanders for the Commanders to make the playoffs. Exactly. And right now, if the Commanders lose this game, and let's say the Rams beat the Jets, the Rams will be 9-6. The Commanders will be 9-6 as well. And then the Commanders basically have two more games to get totally left out of the playoffs.
Yeah, week 16 is full of just implications for playoffs, man. That's why I started it. I was like, week 16 predictions, it has so much going on. Like it's gonna be amazing. Now the Eagles are gonna want to win this, obviously, because it means they're a division title winner and they're automatically in the playoffs with home field advantage for at least the first game in the wild card, right? Now, from there, and probably the first two games, to be honest, but regardless, from there, the Commanders are just trying, at this point, again, are doing their best to make sure that their chance of getting in as either a 7, a 6 seed, whatever the case may be, gets higher and higher week in, week out. This is going to be a tough one because A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts last week, they were connecting quite a bit. They had a really good game. The passing game has been a little bit better. The defense continues to be pretty damn good. So I'm going to look for that. Lattimore is going to be playing for the Commanders. Hopefully, I assume he's going to be the one on A.J. Brown, especially considering how well they played last week, Brown and Hurts. So I'm assuming that matchup is going to be one to look at for this matchup, for this game. But I'm taking the Eagles. I'm taking the Eagles to win it, man. To me, I think the Eagles obviously are a much better team overall. Obviously, Jane Daniels has been playing out of his mind and has been playing really, really well. But that defense is not going to match up well against this Eagles offense. I think they're going to go ham. For some reason, I think they're going to win by a touchdown, the Eagles. So I'm taking the Eagles to win this one and clinch that NFC East division title. So I'm taking Eagles.
Yeah, and the thing, if the Rams win against the Jets, they'll have 9 wins. And then week 17, which would be next week, the Rams play the Cardinals at home. And if they win that, they would have 10 wins. For the Seahawks, we're gonna talk about the Seahawks this week. But this week, the Seahawks are going to be playing the Vikings. That's probably a loss. Maybe they could win it, but maybe a loss. And then week 17, though, they play the Bears, which would give them 9 wins. And then, Rick, week 18, the Seahawks play the Rams. So if the Seahawks won that game, both teams would have 10 wins. And only one of them would be able to get in. The question, and why I bring this up, is will the Commanders have 10 wins?
Yeah,
because the Commanders right now are a 9-win team. So really, they just need one more win to get in. And next week, it's going to be Michael Penix on Sunday Night Football against the Falcons. And then the week after that, it's the Dallas Cowboys. So this is the hardest game of the last 3. And if you and I are correct, they're going to be just fine. Next up, we got the Cleveland Browns and the Bengals. The Cleveland Browns and the Bengals. Oh, man, but real quick, what's crazy about that is that means there's going to be a 10-win team to miss the playoffs. I don't know if that's ever happened.
Oh, it has. It has.
It might have only happened once or twice, and it's probably been a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, off the rip, I can think of the Bears. Lovey's last season, they were 10-6 and they missed the playoffs. That's the year they fired him. And they missed the playoffs that year. Yeah.
Well,
so
no wonder you remember off the rip. Yeah. So you're talking about the 2012
season.
Chicago Bears. The Dolphins in 2020, 4 years ago. It seems like every 4 years or so. It's weird. From 2010 to 2015, there was 5 teams that it happened to. The Giants in 2010. The Bears in 2012, the Cardinals in 2013, the Eagles in 2014, and the Jets in 2015. So it is rare because it's only happened 20 times since the NFL expanded in 1978. Oh, wow. But this feels like when you have the NFC North like the way it is, it's one of those years where it's going to happen to somebody, which is just a bummer for someone. Next up, we have the Browns at Bengals. Rick, I need the Browns to win this game so bad, so bad. I mean, if the Bengals lose this game, it's over. But the Browns are starting DTR. It's not even Jameis Winston, which I feel like gives me no chance. Nick Chubb hurt his foot, so Jerome Ford's going to be running the ball. The Bengals have so much to play for. It's just so hard to go anywhere else. I'm going to take the Bengals.
I know you need the Bengals to lose this one because the Bengals need to win this one. and to me, it's DTR versus Joe Burrow. DTR and Jerry Jeudy, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. To me, it's a simple one. And no matter how bad the Bengals defense is, like Jerry Jeudy and DTR, they're not going to make anything happen like Jameis has with Jerry Jeudy. To me, it's a simple one. I'm going Bengals as well, but I will be rooting against the Bengals. It's tough to root against them, especially against the Browns with again those guys on the offensive side and DTR quarterback. But I'm hoping the Bengals lose because it just ups the chances for the Broncos. But yeah, I got to go Bengals to win this one in terms of predictions, but I'm hoping they lose.
I'm with you, brother. Next up, we got the Vikings at Seahawks. We just talked about this game. The Seahawks, if they lose this game, they got to win their last two to have a real shot if the Rams beat the Jets. And they will know by the time this kicks off if the Rams did beat the Jets, which is important. They got TVs in the locker room around this time of year. Those TVs are on, and they're going to be looking. This is an important game. But so was last week, Sunday Night Football against the Packers. And I got to say, like, the Packers are much better than we think they are. The Seahawks are much worse than we think they are.
Yeah.
Or shit just happens, right?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, the Seahawks can't play at home. The Seahawks cannot play at home.
Yeah, and sometimes like shit just happens, and that has to at least be a part of the variable. I just don't know the amount of time shit just happens, if it's really just shit happening or if it's shit happening all the time. I mean, you can have a game or two like that, but doesn't it feel like the Seahawks just have multiple games this year where they just weren't ready to go? And the Vikings are kind of the opposite. They're 12-2. They know that if they win out, they're going to be the 1 seed in the NFC, and they're going to win their division. It's the Lions all of a sudden are going to go from the team to beat. I mean, imagine the Lions do lose to the Bears and the Vikings win out. The Lions aren't just going to be, a wild card team, but they're going to be a team that has 4 losses because they would go to 3 and then week 18 they play the Vikings. So they would be a 4-loss team all of a sudden, and the Vikings would be a 2-loss team. They would have a 2-game lead on them. It's just crazy how fast this can all shift. The NFC North is so fluid right now, but the Vikings have been very consistent week in and week out. Justin Jefferson, Sam Darnold had 5 touchdown passes last week. We know that we're going to get a good game in this one. It looks like it's going to be a good game, but I just don't trust the Seahawks. Geno's going to play, but how mobile is he going to be? And he has the most interceptions in the end zone this year. Besides, I think Jameis Winston's the other one. Wow. Dude, just whenever he gets in the red zone, the one time you need to protect the ball, he's doing the opposite. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff that you're never going to beat a team playing as well as the Vikings. I'm taking the Vikings. As well. Yeah. I'm taking the Vikings.
Weird stat. The Vikings in 11 games going to Seattle over the last 60 years are 2-9. Weird stat, right? Like they struggle to play against the Seahawks in Seattle. Now, I'm not going to, and I'm totally not going to disagree with you on this one. I'm taking the Vikings to win in Seattle. Seattle this year just cannot win at home. Nothing about being at home helps them out in this game. And you mentioned it. Geno Smith is injured. He couldn't finish the game last week against the Packers. The home record is bad. They played really bad against the Packers, and I don't think it's going to get any better against the Vikings. The only thing that you can kind of have like a silver lining to if you're a Seahawks fan is that Geno is a top 10 quarterback against the blitz, which the Vikings do quite a bit. So you're hoping that Geno can kind of do something, but the fact that when they get in the red zone, he just throws picks, it's bad. That's when you got to go to Kenneth Walker. That's when you got to go to Chardonnay. And they had success last week against the Packers when they went up against them. So hopefully that does help them in this matchup. But until the Seahawks show that they can consistently win at home, which they haven't this year, I'm going with the Vikings, man. They're just a better team. Sam Darnold is going to be able to take advantage of teams kind of down in the dumps, just like he did on Monday Night Football against the Bears. He threw 5 fucking touchdowns, right? Or whatever he did. I'm going Vikings. I don't think it's that difficult of a decision to make. Vikings are going to take this dub and continue to just try to win that NFC North and get into a number 1 seed in the NFC. So I'm Vikings all the way.
All right, next up we got the Bills and the Patriots. This is another one of those lopsided kind of the Bears-Lions situation. the Patriots going into Buffalo after Buffalo getting that win. The one thing I'll say about this game, if you're a Patriot fan, is there is an emotional hangover with a win like that. And you look at the last 2 weeks, they've given up 80 points or so, even more. And the offense has Josh Allen, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns. And then the week before, 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns. It's like at some point, naturally, it's going to come down. It's going to come down. And with the win like that, I feel like it's kind of like a high that I feel like it's hard to get back in the film room when you go from playing a team like the Lions, like you're all in on preparing for that game, to now you're preparing for the Patriots. And it's just like, yeah, we know they're a divisional team. We already know them. We don't really got to look at the film too hard. We know them. They know us. It just kind of reeks of the perfect spot for an upset. The one thing is the Bills are playing for the 1 seed, so I'm not going to pick it. The Bills offense is averaging 41 points over the last 3 games. That's just incredible. Josh Allen, I think he wins MVP. I said it in the beginning of the year. Josh Allen was going to win MVP and have one of his best seasons ever. I said he's going to have his best season ever. And I think he is having his best season. Like, the numbers might not be his best ever, but when you really take a step back and look at what he's doing with what he has, I think you could make a real case that this is Josh Allen's best year ever. He's just taking over every game. Now, the last 2 games have been in an arena. So those last 2 games being in an arena, the weather's not a factor. If Josh Allen actually was an arena quarterback, he would be unstoppable. I don't know how anybody would ever stop him. But people are going to be like, well, the Bills score 40 points every single game, and they're going to forget that those games were indoors. And that's why when you look at this game, you see that the points for this game, you got 46.5, and I don't know. I think this game could be a low-scoring game, and I'm thinking the Bills are going to win, but I think it's going to be 21-10 type of a game.
Oh, okay. I can see that. Real quick, Crafty's asking who's starting for the Hawks. As of right now, Crafty, it's Geno. Yeah, it's Geno Smith. The Bills have an opportunity against the Patriots this week to do something that no team has ever done, and that is score 30-plus points in 9 straight games. The Patriots are giving up over 24 points per game. I think the Bills are going to do it. They're the first team to score 9 straight games, 30-plus points. I think they're going to be able to do it. The Broncos, I think, have the most 30-point-plus games in NFL history, and I think that was Peyton Manning, 2013, 14? Something
no
like
way.
that.
Look, week 1, Baltimore 49. This was the best offense ever, in my opinion. Statistically, it was. 49 points week 1, 42 week 2, 37 week 3, 52 week 4, 51 week 5, 35 week 6, 33 week 7, 45 week 8, bye week 28.
Yeah.
Wait, so it's 9?
So if the Bills score 30-plus points this week, they'll get to 9. Only team to ever do that. So the Broncos were close. They had 8.
They did score more points even with if you combine those 9 games, though.
Right. But and the Broncos, I think, still have the most 30-plus point games in NFL history. It was during that Manning year. What year was that, by the way?
2013.
2013. Okay, thank you. So the Bills have an opportunity to make history here, to score 9, to score 30-plus in 9 straight. I think they do it against the Patriots, man. The Patriots they're good on the offense. Their defense sucks. And this is coming from Patriots fans already. They're like, how do we have a defensive coach in Gerard Mayo and suck on the defense? It's just one of those things that really, really sucks, because the Bears, we had a really good defense with the Eberflus. It's just, time management, the offense, everything else sucked as a head coach, but his defense, pretty mint. Either way, I think the Bills are going to be able to do this. I totally agree with Josh Allen having such an amazing season. He continues to do so. I think it continues this week. And the Patriots, again, they're kind of just looking at Drake May, how to develop him, how he's kind of doing his thing in the pocket, scrambling, whatever. They're looking at Drake May and seeing like, okay, where has he gotten better? Where has he gotten worse? How can we develop this guy? They're looking at the offseason. They're looking at the draft at tankathon.com. They're looking at that stuff right now. Obviously, they're going to be focused on the game. They're going to try to win the game. They're going to do their best to make sure that the Bills don't get 30 plus in this game to break that record, so they don't break that record. But I think Josh Allen and the Bills in this game are inevitable. I'm taking the Bills to win this one.
All right, I'm going to go through this one in 10 seconds. Jags Raiders. The game's in Las Vegas. They have a combined record of 5-23. It looks like.
Yeah.
There's nothing to talk about. No Trevor Lawrence. The Raiders are at home. It's a toss-up. I don't even care enough to pick a team.
Mm-hmm.
That's over. That's the end.
This is who I'm picking for this game. I'm going Raiders, and I'm going to say why in 2 words. Brock Bowers. And I'm going to say why the Jags are going to lose in 2 words. Mac Jones. And Mac Jones has been playing pretty well. He did all right last week, but the Raiders are going to win this one. They're at home. Like you said, they're at home. This is a toss-up. They have 5 wins between the two. I'm going Brock Bowers and the Raiders, and Brock Bowers is going to get on those is going to get higher on the receptions list for the year, but I'm going Raiders.
The 49ers going into Miami. Miami is 1.5 favorites. So a close game, really a toss-up. The 49ers, they win out. They're not eliminated. I'll just put it that way. But both of these teams are in the same situation where they're both 6-8. And they're hoping if they win out, they could get to 9 with the Bengals and the Colts. And, and maybe they hope Denver loses out. So there'd be a 4-way tie for a 9-7 team or 9-8 team. But ultimately, I don't know what to do with this game because both of these teams are well coached and they've underperformed. Tua needed to have a great game, and he had less than 200 yards passing against the Texans. He threw multiple picks. It was just the urgency was there, but they just still couldn't do it. It's like you need more than urgency in the NFL. If you listen to coaches, it's all about urgency when you're losing. When your back's against the wall, it's all about urgency, but that doesn't really translate to winning as much as fans think it would. Especially when 2 teams are playing with the same exact situation. Yeah. These teams are kind of a mirror image of each other as far as the coach and the situation and the expectations and underwhelming season. I'm really torn on this game, but I'm gonna go Dolphins at home.
Oh, okay. I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to go with the 49ers on this one. Isaac Orendo's hurt. The Dolphins have a great run defense. I think they're tops in the league. They lit up 83 yards per game, whatever the case is. But Tyreek and Tua, there's something going on there. The 49ers don't let up a lot of big plays, at least explosive plays, 20 plus yards. And Tyreek and Tua, that hasn't really been there this year. Obviously the injuries to Tua, things like that are going to lower Tyreek's overall production. But even the last few games with Tua, it's been let's give it to Tyreek 9 yards away from the line of scrimmage and let him do his thing. It's but that's not what Tyreek does. So all that coupled together, I think Brock Purdy's going to have another really good game. He torched the Bears a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, it's the Bears. I get it, but I think he's going to kind of continue to build off these last couple games that he's had. And I think he's going to beat the Dolphins. There's really nothing to like against with the Dolphins. Tua has been playing a lot better since he's been back from his injury. But I don't know, man. I like the 49ers in this situation a little bit better. The coaching seems to be better for me. Obviously, they're going to be down Guerrero, which sucks, which leaves them with like their fourth string running back. But I think Brock Purdy's going to be the one to get this going with Debo and with Juwan Jennings and with Kittle. Kittle's a monster. So I'm going 49ers on this one.
Sunday Night Football, Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. Baker's won 4 straight going into Dallas, who's been playing very competitive. Really, with Cooper Rush, they've been kind of just riding the running game. Last week, I think Dowdle had 130.
He had a big game, yeah.
He had a big game, and that's kind of like what they've been. I mean, but that was against the Panthers, so let's put that into perspective. But still, like, the Cowboys are going to play tough, but Baker and the Bucks, this is that time of year. They're starting to cook. Liam Cohen, I can't say enough that he is going to be such a good head coach, I think. Yeah. I think this guy gets it, man. I think this guy is just kind of slept on. When people say who are the best candidates, Liam Cohen's not even being brought up, but man, this guy comes from Sean McVay, and he's got Baker in this offense scoring the third or second most points in the NFL. And you're looking at the Cowboys and you're saying, man, they're playing tough, but it's like, yeah, they're playing tough in spite of their situation. The Bucks aren't in a situation. What is our situation, Dad? The Bucks aren't in one.
I fucking love that.
So, as great as the Cowboys have been with the situation they're in, this is the nail in the coffin. I'm taking the Bucks to win this game. Ooh. I do think it's going to be closer than it should be. I'm going to go Bucks 30, Cowboys 27.
Oh, so Kyle has not only talked about great things about Mike McCarthy and how, he's a good coach, but Kyle is also saying that the Cowboys are going to get their first losing season under McCarthy for the first time since 2020. Kyle, where are you? Where is your mind at? No, I'm just kidding.
It happens. But
you're right.
7 or 8 wins is a losing season. So like there's like, Sean Payton has never had less than 7 wins. Mm-hmm. But like you can still miss the playoffs and have a losing record and still be like, that's my floor. And that's kind of a good floor. I feel like the Cowboys, this is a good floor for them to get 7 or 8 wins this year, even if they have a losing record.
Yeah, I totally agree. And guess what? Better than the fucking Bears record. I'll tell you that much. So I'm hoping. I pray for 8 wins at this point. Anyway, regardless in this matchup, I got to take the Bucks in this one too. The Cowboys, I think again, like you said, like I think they're gonna lose this one, and it's gonna be their first losing season in 4 seasons. But I love what's going on in Tampa Bay. I still love Baker. Liam Cohen again. You're saying like he's probably gonna get some head coaching consideration after this season. The Bears might even consider him. I think he's probably at least top 5 on the list for the Bears right now. Probably at 5 though. But I'm liking the offense a lot better than whatever's going on in Dallas. But I think Dallas is going to put up a fight. Like you said, it's going to be a close game, but I'm taking the Bucks at the end of the day.
Monday Night Football, December 23rd. It's going to be Saints at Packers. And if you're not keeping score, that means that we had football on Thursday. There's college football tonight, bowl games. And that means Saturday when we have the doubleheader, and then there's football on Sunday. And then on Monday, that would make 5 straight games or days of football. And all of this football is going to be capped off by what I think is going to be a blowout. This is the Packers at home in December, right before Christmas. I mean, what do you think's going to happen? I'm sorry. I've been at these games personally. I know what Lambeau's like this time of year. It's going to be cold. Mm-hmm. The Packers are going to be in the exact uniforms you're imagining. No creativity here. Not like Seattle with the white helmets. It's going to be the very traditional Packer Lambeau Field, all the orange in the crowd because everyone's wearing their hunting gear. It is going to be, I'm going to go 41-10.
Oh, yeah. And week 16 started off with a rookie quarterback starting for their team and is going to end with a rookie quarterback starting for their team. Spencer Rattler is in for the Saints this week. Could not agree with you more. What happened when Spencer Rattler started for the Saints against the Broncos? They got their ass kicked. What's going to happen when they go up against the Packers in Lambeau in December? They're going to get their fucking ass whooped. Could not agree more. I'm going to go 35-7. Alvin Kamara gets the only, or no, sorry, not Alvin Kamara. Yeah, he's out. What's the tight end's name for the Saints? Juwan Johnson, something like that. He's going to get the touchdown randomly. It's not going to be Olave. It's not going to be anybody else. Spencer Rattler's going to throw a floater to Juwan Jennings, whoever the tight end is.
Oh,
that's going to be, that's going to be their only score, and it's going to come in the second quarter. But other than that, it is going to be just at will, destroying the Saints on the Packers side. Packers are winning Monday night in Lambeau in December when it is fucking 2 degrees outside. So I'm going Packers too, unfortunately.
And Rick, Josh Jacobs.
Oh, he's going for the hat trick. I fucking
3
love it.
rushing touchdowns in this game. Keep in mind, the Saints have allowed 135 rushing yards per game over the last 3 weeks.
Jesus
and
Christ.
Josh Jacobs is, I feel pretty confident in that. So let's clip it after the game and see where it stands. Josh Jacobs will score 3 touchdowns against the Saints on Monday night.
Kyle saying it. 3 touchdowns for Josh Jacobs. Count it. That was our week 16 predictions. And Kyle, I think it's time for the motherfucking. Yeah.
Shit. What was I going to say? I'm just kidding. The Eagles. Wide receiver A.J. Brown. A lot of people wondering what's going on with this knee injury. He's been on the injury report this week. And this is a big game against the Commanders. And Brown was asked Friday if he was going to be able to play. And this is what he said after a lengthy pause. I'm playing. So he's going to be able to go, and he's going to be limited all week. But as of Thursday and Friday, there is no injury designation. Sirianni said we'll see when he was asked if he would practice on Friday, and the guy, A.J. Brown, he's really one of those guys where, like, if he can't go, you start really wondering if the Commanders can pull it off. And Brown's missed 3 games earlier in the season with a hamstring. He left early week 9 in a game with the Jaguars with a knee issue. He said he wasn't sure how the recent knee injury popped up, but he said that no one's fully healthy at this time of the football season, and that's just the truth. So if the Eagles do get this win, I would expect a lot of teams to start, if you clinch the division, maybe start trying to rest some teams. It's just hard because, like, it seems like there's always something to play for. Even if you're trying to get the 1 seed, it's really tough to kind of balance keeping your best players healthy and getting the best seed possible when it comes to the playoffs. But for this game, we will see A.J. Brown lacing up the cleats, which was something a lot of fantasy people were worried about. And like Rick said, Guernardo is going to be able to go. Geno Smith is going to go. Patrick Mahomes is going to go. And the Ravens, with all the drama going on with Deontay Johnson, they've waived him from the team after they said that they mutually agreed for him to not come to work. And then now he's just not on the team, which is like, dude, could you imagine, like, the way the Ravens look this year? You got an opportunity to actually, like, win a Super Bowl, and you're just not even, like, on the team. Like, how fast he went from being a really, really, like, promising receiver to just another Pittsburgh Steeler receiver that just
Gone.
bounces around and disappears. It's just crazy.
Yeah, something about those draft picks for the Steelers in terms of wide receivers, where they're just like,
They
wow,
need to
this
start
guy is a
drafting
pain in the ass
character
now.
and not talent.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know what it is with them. The Bears got one of them, unfortunately. But regardless, yeah, that fucking blows. But I mean, hey, good for the Ravens to know when to cut it loose, when you're supposed to. But other than that, thank you guys so much for joining us. Crafty Bill, GM John, we had Bears Key Films and Liam on here. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Go follow us on X and now Rick. Go follow Kyle at NFL with Kyle. Go follow the Only Football Podcast at Only Football Pod, and go follow our YouTube pages there at the bottom left of our screens. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitch, X, YouTube. Thank you guys so much. And Kyle, always a good time, brother.
Always a good time.